O te whatalofa, tumaro whaalalo whaafonga le tunu ni tai au, o e whapitoa winga tūlanga SFO ni tai au tato whaasalaunga. Pa whatasi le pot whaasalau ma le sunga le ni puli, o le Radio New Zealand le sunga ia Paul Thompson. Ia matatano al fo inisi o taurumanga o ngai luenga, e waalua i tato whaatasi mo le anga i luma. Paul Thompson, welcome to Samoa Capital Radio this morning. It's nice to have you come into our studio. I'll just introduce you to our listeners in the language, and we'll do this bilingually so that people can understand what we're doing. But it's a pleasure hosting you in Samoa Capital Radio.
Tealu for Afamasaga. It's fantastic to be here, and just really good to be talking with you and talking to your listeners about all the things that we're doing between and across our organisations.
Thank you. It's not very often that you see heads of media organisations sitting together on the table, but now we're talking to the listeners together, so that's a very good thing to happen.
We love collaborating and partnering.
That's right. Paul, perhaps for the listeners, as I grew up in Samoa, because I was born in Samoa, and I listened to the Samoan programs from here, Radio New Zealand, those years. So even when I came here, I followed Radio New Zealand. Right now, I'm still doing the same. And it's, perhaps you can talk a little bit about the history, because 2021, you had achieved 100 years of service.
2025, next year, actually.
Is that right?
Yes, so we're about to turn 100.
Okay, all right. So it's a long time, to provide the service to the country.
It is. So it's a very big year for RNZ next year, turning 100. So if you go back to the 1920s, when radio was being pioneered and developed, it was the internet or the AI of its time, groundbreaking technology that allowed communications across the nation for the first time live. It was life-changing technology, and 100 years on, here we are doing it again, still relying on radio waves, but also coming through video platforms as well. So RNZ is Aotearoa's public media organisation. We're publicly funded, we're commercial free, and our job is to provide trusted news and current affairs for all New Zealanders, and also across the Pacific region as well. So it feels fantastic to be here today, connecting with you and doing some really good things together for audiences.
All right, I'll just talk a little bit in the language for our listeners. Mo le whawhaonga tato atanu ia na uto sisila mai o tō maua tato social media. I le Facebook, mo le YouTube, o matala noa atu mo le pule sili o le Radio New Zealand. O le letio nei le lelu e se lau ni tau sanga le tau sanga folua filusu lima. E matatano atu fo I taulumanga e iwa enga e o tato se whianga ingi saidia le so e ngā lue wawaa lue tato e ape o le talano e le levon tau tuol ngā luenga le letio le nei I tuainga teknolosi sa whaonga I asola I a leo tato e upengo ta inga teimi nei o le whai inga luenga letio. Paul, the broadcasting service to the Pacific, that's one thing area that we always listen to. You've got the Moana, Tangata Moana, Pacific service, and Moira Tulepa, your colleague out here, she drives that. And it's good for us to gather that information throughout the Pacific for people to be aware of what's happening.
Yes, look, RNZ Pacific is a very important part of what RNZ does. So we have an amazing team of Pacific journalists doing programming, doing podcasts, doing digital content, and covering that massive part of the globe that is the Pacific. Some of the biggest stories affecting the whole world are now centred on the Pacific, so it is a vital part of what we do. We also have a shortwave service to the Pacific, which gets our trusted news and current affairs into every part of the region, and we are next week opening our new shortwave transmitter. So New Zealand is, as a country, is committed to making sure our rich content gets to the whole region and investing quite a significant amount of money in shortwave distribution. But you can also come to us online, you can come to us through our sister stations. And I think the partnership that we're signing today is adding another strength to our ability to get trusted news and information to our Pacific communities.
Yeah. There's so much disinformation and misinformation happening now. So we need to work together and make sure the information we put out there for the public consumption is
It's
the right information.
It is such an important job that we have. There is a lot of misinformation. There is a lot of unreliable information. And I think that's a very good example of how your organisation and my organisation have common ground, that we're committed to not just reporting on issues, but also reflecting communities, reflecting languages, reflecting the rich cultures that form Aotearoa. So, and doing it in a way where people can trust what we do, and that feels really good that we can work together on that.
O le vaenga le matatano e o le afo ngā rue whaatasi vava aluo tātou. Ia mai se fol tātou a le aunanga le Radio New Zealand Pasifika. E tele atulu nā tau a aunanga e tō tele tangata o lo ngā lua I motu se o Pasifika. Ma o le nāle maua I New Zealand. Ia matātou u mai e whaamtalanga whaapea wai o lo lava ta pena la tau tūlanga o tamau ainga whaatino I la tau ngā luenga. Ia ma maua ia vaenga ia. Ai le peo sao no ia po le mana ia o le ngā lue whaatasi tātou te tusa o tātou tātou nungo le whaatinongo ngā luenga nei. Ia wala wale manuia lau telo tangata o lo whaalongolongo. Ma maua whaamintinonga, whaamtalanga moni ma whaamaoni. Ina ia si la fia, ai meo lo tupu I tono le atino o nei. Paul, thank you. I'll just emphasize the importance of having this good information, reliable information for the community consumption, in both languages. Well, for us in Samoa Capital Radio, 98% of what we put on air is all in our language. And we try and gather together the best type of information that we think is useful for us to inform and educate our listeners. And we look at Radio New Zealand over the years, and then we thought this is where we should be. Hence the reason why we come to your team and start talking about having a memorandum of understanding. And I gather, we can start talking about that now before we sign something.
Yes, look, if I can say one thing, which is just to acknowledge the incredibly important work that Samoa Capital Radio does in terms of promoting the Samoan language, connecting communities. You're a leader. You're a world leader in that, and we feel really fortunate to be able to come in and work with you, and I think we'll be able to do a lot of really good things for our audiences under the agreement we're going to sign today. And it's RNZ is a very different organisation to your organisation in some ways, but at our core we're all about creating trust through reliable content and making sure that we can inform, entertain and stimulate our audiences with trusted information. So we feel like we have a lot in common.
I can promise you, after the first year working together to celebrate Samoa language, you'll be able to say a speech on air.
Okay, that's a good challenge. I'm happy to pick up that challenge.
So start writing something for you now, make it simple for you to come and talk.
I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah. Perhaps in the Samoa language, I'll explain to our listeners exactly what we want to cover, unless you want to cover that off. No. It's Ole vainga le tatanoe nei ole so o sai ni le tato whenga ngā lo ia ma le sunga ia Paul Thompson, ole CEO ma le Editor-in-Chief ole Radio New Zealand. Ole la tato ngā lue whaatase a mese le whamantunga ole tato ngā vaiaso le ngan Samoa I tau sanga te tasi. Lona winga vaiaso na e ngā lue vava alua I tato mo le Radio New Zealand po alawa ni tua I ngā whainga e whaatino I lea fo I vaenga ia o la ngā lue whaatasi ei. O lo iei mora tula Apple la tui tue o ie ma tātou ngā lue whaatasi vaenga lea. O le si vaenga lea vavai e fo I le whenga le saini le sa ta ue po. O le ngā lulue le whaonganga tātou o la tō news stories po tala ia e mau mai telefou. E tele ni whaonga tātou. A le la o whaia ne le whenga ne ina ia alo ia I le whaonganga tātou o la tō fo I au onanga I tala ma mea mo la tau ia mai whamtalanga I au ngā mo tātou wai e le lele sa I li linga mai whamaoni fo ia mo tātou whanganga ia peo vaenga na o leo o el tanoanga teimini ia ona le fo lau whai vai asona ia la tam whai o atula na ngan Samoa ina im whai on tala no ngan Samoa Paul, thank you very much for that. I'll just explain what we're doing and what is it, and then you'll be trained the Samoan language for the next Samoan language week. So you can, perhaps we can get together at that time and practice a little bit of material.
I might need a few lessons, but I'm happy to accept the challenge.
All right. Anything you want to tell the community about Radio New Zealand? You know, we've got about just under 30,000 followers on social media now, and in Wellington, they're all on the radio listening to us at present.
Look, thank you for the opportunity to talk to your community and your listeners. RNZ, Radio New Zealand, RNZ, is our nation's public broadcaster. This is a very difficult time for a lot of media companies, and every media company has lots of challenges at the moment, just being sustainable, and people will be aware of closures and job losses across the sector. The point why I'm raising that is just to underline that a really strong, vibrant and relevant media sector brings New Zealand together. We all look after different communities, but through trusted information and entertainment, we create a stronger, more cohesive democracy. And the work that RNZ does for New Zealand in that respect is very important, and the work that Samoa Capital Radio does in that respect is very important. So our job at RNZ is connecting and informing New Zealanders and the Pacific, and we have a lot of exciting plans to continue to evolve and diversify our content and our audiences. And one of the range of audiences that we do want to do a better job for are the Pacific peoples in New Zealand. So we've got some plans for the next few years to invest more in content and news and information for Pacific peoples, and we like to do that not by ourselves but with partners. So I think there'll be lots of things that we can talk about.
So you can check off Samoa, you got us. We'll deal with the Samoan content.
Well, we want to work with you and make you stronger as we do our thing. That's our approach, and we really like these kind of partnerships. They're very important to us.
Thank you. O le vaenga le tano nei ia po awale o unanga la tau le Radio New Zealand tātou. E taiti tusa e moi ese ai tusa o le tamu whaile e watu wha maunga matala talawhia ngai mo le au whaafonga. E le fo e mo e la tu fufuanga mo le lumanai e ngā rurua a tili e mo tangata Pasifika. Ia le o e le ma le a fo le tatou pa anga le saini le so. Ia tono le la amata mea i o tatou le la a sosoani e le tu e le ngan Samoa e mo le anga i luma. Paul, thank you very much for your time this morning. It's good to have you. Pleasure to host you on Samoa Capital Radio. Now you've been here. This is a home for Samoans in this part of it. It's in Porirua, not in Wellington. We used to be in Wellington for a long time, but now this is where the majority of our community lives. So it's always nice to come here, just like a home, you know, instead of an office. So that's the difference between us here and what happened in Wellington.
Yes, no, look, it's such a wonderful home you have here, and very impressed with how you've established a fantastic facility.
All right, so thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you, Afamasaga.
Yeah, o tātou por kalamena lena whaitai au nei, a to e Moresi am no to tano sai mua. Ia ai to fo ia tu tātou whasalau mo whaawongo tātou por kalamena. All the best.
Thank you very much.